this time I'm trying to get up a lot earlier, and sometimes I will sit on my bed and I'll just look at my history post-it notes, because that's some good revision without a lot of effort. And then I'll just get up and write myself a to-do list for that day so that I can keep organised and stay on track. And this day I plan to do more of a variety of different subjects, because I've got more exams coming up really shortly. So I just decided that I wanted to do some history, which I've done in another video. I wanted to do some English literature and then a past paper, and then I tidied my room and made my bed so that I could focus more easily. And I got out my history folder and then I just got straight to it, no distractions. And I actually sit on the thing where I store my books, so I got my history book out and it's so tightly packed that it's really hard to get stuff out of it. But yeah, I just got that out and then I logged onto my computer and I found a past paper, and then I also went and found the mark scheme, and then after that I went onto the alarms on my laptop and I set a timer for 1 hour, which is like how long I was revising that subject for. And then I just worked out how long I needed to take to answer that question, and I started writing the answer. Before I looked at the mark scheme and I wrote some corrections in and highlighted my main points, and then I think I ended up rewriting that answer because it wasn't very good. And then I got on to writing the 12 marker, which I did a lot better than my 8 marker, and this took me a while, and I started marking that as well. And after an hour I was done with that. I put my history stuff away and I went and had a shower and got dressed and got some breakfast, and I had avocado on toast for like one of the first times and it was so good. I had so much lemon on it as well, and I had a cup of tea because I just like my tea, and it's a close up of my food because it was so good. And it was a Sunday, so I had to spend a bit of time catching up on like when everybody uploads, because this was about 11 o'clock. And then after I'd done this for about half an hour, it was 11:15, so I just got on to do some English. And I've really abandoned Merchant of Venice, like I've not revised it since January, and we did it in class and I was like, God, I don't know anything, so I've been spending a lot of time doing that recently. So I put another timer on for an hour, although I ended up spending more than an hour doing this. And I watched the BBC videos. I always start off with BBC Bite Size because they do have some good notes, but not like you can build on them with other resources. So I watched the videos on the plot and the characters, and then I started making notes on Antonio, which is the main character. And then after I'd done him, as he's not very complex, I went on to Shylock, who is probably the most complex character in the book, play. Need to know that. Yeah, he took a while. I had lots of notes on him, and I also used my York Notes textbook, which, although the theme section in it isn't very good, the character section is really good, and it always talks about the audience and stuff, which is really important for me to know about. So after I'd done Antonio, I moved on to Shylock, who took me a lot longer, and I had some technical difficulties with the filming of this, so I had to pause for a bit and sort it out. Don't really know I'm telling you that, but I am. And I just took notes from my textbook and my computer, and I didn't end up having enough space to get notes off YouTube videos, so yeah, I made myself some little mind maps, as you may have seen from my other study with me, and this ended up taking me about an hour and a half, and then I just slipped that into my folder. And at this stage it was more around midday, so I was like, I'm gonna have lunch soon, so there's no point in starting anything new, so I just packed away and put everything away in my pencil case, made my room all tidy so that I could easily get on to revision in the afternoon. And then I failed to put these into the folder because it's quite jam-packed. And after this, it was about 1, so I only had about 20 minutes till I was going to be eating. I crossed it off my to-do list, which is so satisfying, and I decided to read Harry Potter because I love Harry Potter, and I'm trying to do a lot more reading right now because it helps with your vocabulary so much, and that's really important for your question 5s on the language paper. And then after lunch, and after I'd read for a bit more, it was about 3, so I thought it was time that I got on to doing a science past paper, and I had originally planned to do chemistry, but I decided to do physics because that was the next one in the series. So I got out 2015 paper for P1, and I like to do past papers. They're literally the best form of revision for me. and this folder that I used to store them all is so big, and I've only used half of the pages, so yeah. Then I got out my revision notes, which I refer to while I'm writing the answers, because going back and looking for notes and remembering them and writing them out again is far better than just guessing. And I set a timer for an hour, and I just got on with it, and I'm definitely getting better at these papers. I was getting about 42 marks at first, and now I'm almost getting 50 most times. And doing past papers of science is so important. And I finished it at exactly 4 o'clock with 10 minutes to spare, and I couldn't be bothered to check it, so I just went on straight to marking it, because then I can see where I've gone wrong. And I got myself some tea to mark it, because tea is very important. I've drunk a lot of tea. Yeah, there's some really attractive videos of me drinking tea. And then I marked it, and I forgot that I was filming it, so I ended up leaving it loads at the end to just film my desk, which also don't know why I'm telling you that, but I am. And when I'm marking, I like to highlight all the parts that I've written down, which are in the mark scheme, and then in the mark scheme I like to highlight all the things that I've missed. And then I annotate my paper of everything that I missed so that I've got the full solutions. Or if I've said something correct but not said it scientifically enough, I reword it. And afterwards I just counted up my mark, and I was quite happy with my mark. And this is basically a close-up of how I've annotated it and marked it. And then I went downstairs because we had guests, and one of them is a physics teacher, so I thought I'd make use of him. And he told me where I'd gone wrong, because obviously I knew, but he explained it to me so I understood it. And then I looked at the grade boundaries on my iPad, and I prefer to use my iPad sometimes because this is just a lot smaller. And I also found the UMS calculator, because then I can count up my full UMS over all the papers and see what grade I would have got overall, were that my actual GCSE. And I also write down the side of the marks at which stages I passed into a certain grade, if that makes sense. And I read the examiner's report and just noted down anything else that I thought was important, because it's interesting to see how an examiner thinks when they're marking. And then after this, I ticked it off and put it away. And I was done for the day, because I finished everything on my to-do list, and I just put it back in my folder. And in my folder I have a little list of all the marks I've got, so I had to write that down. And then I was going to go out to our friend's house for dinner, so I just got ready to go out, and I took some cue cards in case I got bored, and I just left the house.